part, and then I'll see. I'll do this resolution and then you sign.
I hope I'm not scaring you off to council.
No, you're not scaring me off. Now, I've got all of the resolutions here. Do you want me to just read them out and then you can sign them afterwards?
Appreciate everybody changing the time so that.
Okay. So we are convening the Nipissing Township Cemetery Committee meeting. We have regrets from Brett McDonald, our newest member. So we have Councillor Moore and Councillor Scott here. Our first item on the agenda is to appoint a chairperson. And I have resolution C 2022-01 and moved by James. Seconded by Liz. That we appoint Liz Moore as chairperson of the cemetery committee. All in favor? All right. And I can continue if you'd like, chairperson.
Yes, go straight to Chris.
So our next one, we had circulated the last minutes of the meeting, which took place September 11th, 2018. So rather than adopt those minutes, we put in the resolution C 2022-02 that we received the minutes of the September 11th, 2018 meeting. Moved by all in favor? Okay. So we're proposing some changes to the cemetery bylaw. If we adopt these changes, they will go to council for approval. They will be advertised, and then they have to go to the Bereavement Authority of Ontario for adoption with our license. So there were highlighted copies. Yes. And one of them is to include a better definition of spring burial. Yeah. So for remains that are placed in a vault or mortuary during the winter season, when burial services are not available, that they may be interred in May or when the cemetery is able to open. Now, we have it in our rules that the dates for spring burials are Monday to Friday, because there's lots of time to schedule those burials from when they happen, and it reduces our costs. So that's why we needed a better definition. And visitation hours, we noticed that that wasn't in our bylaw originally. So of course, anyone can go into the cemetery at any time, but we do want people to know that going in at night, we don't have lighting. You'll notice on page 6, the care and maintenance fees. These are already included in our user fee bylaw. These are instated by the ministry through the Bereavement Authority of Ontario. So this is just for care and maintenance costs. Our land costs did not change. These are the amounts that go into the trust fund, and we don't have any say in these ones. And those are the proposed changes. Do you have any questions?
No, I read through it. I didn't like it. I like the extra interpretation. It looked good to me.
So, mover and seconder, please. Resolution C 2022-03, moved by Councillor Moore, seconded by Councillor Scott, that we approve the proposed, oh, yeah. No, that was the wrong one. Sorry, I lost my page. Thank you. That we approve the proposed changes to the cemetery regulations bylaw as presented. All in favor? Next is the 2022 draft budget. And did I send out the draft budget?
Yes, you did.
So I think what we wanted to just discuss with you was was any proposed expenses that we have for the landfill. And
I always get expensive.
Sorry, did you?
No, what we're proposing is just some tools. We have no tools for skill saw for making forms and stuff like that. And we're thinking those sheds that we got for the landfill, they're not doing so well up there. So I think we'll build a little shed out of wood up in the landfills, and we'll take those ones and put them in the cemetery so we can keep tools in them. So
Which sheds are those at the landfill you're referring to?
the all dry
Okay,
dries,
okay.
the wind's taking them and beating
Yes,
them
I
up.
see that.
So if they're in the cemeteries, we'll put them in the corner and we'll tie them down so that they'll serve a good purpose there.
You're not really afraid of vandalism in there?
No,
You're gonna keep expensive tools?
no, just rake shovels.
Oh,
and-
okay, all
I mean, a big jug for water, like a 45-gallon drum for the water, we'll keep a full water there. So when we're making concrete and stuff, we're not running all the time for
right.
water.
Makes sense. Okay.
Yeah. So just kind of like light tools. I mean,
Mhm.
it's not good. We're not gonna keep any kind of power tools there.
Yeah, of course.
There's no hydro in there, is
Yeah.
there? So you probably would propose to buy one of the kits.
Yeah.
Whether it's Milwaukee or Rigid or whatever,
That's-
has Sawzall, a skill saw, the
Gun,
drills.
screw guns and stuff like that.
That's one kit.
One kit, and then, and we're gonna propose, getting a little cement mixer, like a little electric one. Just because sometimes you're making a lot of forms.
Our cemeteries have been busier than ever before, and I don't see that slowing down.
No,
We've already got 2 pre-requests for the spring.
Big
We're starting.
foundations and stuff like that, but we use enough concrete.
Ballpark, right?
The cement mixer's $500, the toolkit will be like that too.
you're looking at
Around $1,000.
It's not.
No,
will you use that at each cemetery or just the one here?
no, we'll always have that tool. We'll use it for both. And then, yes, we would have this cement mixer we take with us.
Okay. I'm just thinking, would you take the other building, the other line?
Yeah, Yeah, because it's like, again, it's getting wind hammered up
Okay.
there, so we'll just build like a 4x6 or a 6x6 shed in each one out of wood, and then we'll take those ones and repurpose them.
So I'd like to propose on the budget for cemetery other expenses that we move that up to 5,500 to accommodate those costs.
Yeah.
The other expenses that are listed there, care and maintenance for the lawn and cemetery. or Smith.
Oh. So the other thing is, the lawnmowers are getting older, but I'm proposing we just budget and split it up, and then until they actually disintegrate, we won't dump a bunch of money into them, but they're not costing us anything right now. They're working, but they're getting older,
Okay.
and they do get a lot of use. So when they do die, then we'll have some kind of budget to help replace them.
How many of those lawnmowers do we have?
Two.
And how much would one cost to replace?
They're around 13,000.
So what we do with that price is we break it down between parks
Yes.
and cemeteries with a small amount for the museum, small amount for the other areas that we care for. So it won't all be a hit to this one. I still have to figure out the actual estimate and the breakdown. So that'll come through in the final budget. Okay.
Like I said, there's no signs of them going, but they are older and they do get used a lot, so.
So we do have one member of Public Works pretty much designated to our cemeteries now. So you'll notice in our budget, I have for the salary, last year we budgeted 11, and we only spent 5. This year, I'd like to budget 10. Like I say, I'm anticipating a very busy year for our
Okay.
cemeteries, especially with these changes that we want to make. I think that was it for the budget. And then reviewing the 29 or the 2021 budget, the figures are there beside it. So
Yes.
our revenues were pretty good. We had a GIC invested for the interest on the cemetery. That's why it looks lower.
Okay.
And we just didn't get back what we wanted. So we reinvested it just into the general account like we did with our regular.
Okay.
And the fees that you saw changed in the bylaw, you won't see referenced in here because those fees go directly to the care and maintenance fund, so they have nothing to do with this.
Yeah.
project.
There's one other thing.
Oh,
No, I don't know what cost of it yet, but I would like to get a new lowering platform
yes.
because what they're using now is just 2x10s wood and it's not.
Sorry, what do you mean by lowering?
Like, not, like around, once we dig the hole, we put like wood around it so they can set their lowering
Yes.
platform on it. I'd like to get one made out of aluminum instead of what they've been currently using, because it's not good.
All right.
It's
So,
not safe. And
it's not
there's a
safe,
potential for a slippage that
Okay.
could result in.
but I don't have a price. I haven't looked at.
Okay.
I had seen one that one of the other municipalities have, and it looks good, and it's a good idea to have.
You just don't, that's the kind of place you just
No, no.
don't need a failure.
No,
Right.
There's no room for error.
No.
Like these, they're like a sandy material up there too, so they collapse really easy on the sides.
No, that makes complete sense.
But I will look into a price and I will let you know.
And we'll have it for our final budget meeting, so that we'll bring all of that forward to you.
That's it for me.
You want to write a something? Okay. So I'm just gonna make a note here.
Jan
That's what he said.
or
Yeah.
me.
See you again.
All right, so next resolution. We're in a seconder for the budget. Okay. Resolution C 2022-04, moved by Councilor Moore, seconded by Councilor Scott, that we approve the proposed 2022 budget amounts for the cemetery expenses as presented. All in favor? I do have one other resolution I would like to bring up. A few years ago, we purchased some land next to the highway, Nipissing Union Cemetery on Highway 654. So this is the parcel of land. Currently, it's called Bush,
Yes.
and we also bought the farmland next to it, so we own all the way down. Originally, it was designated as cemetery land, but we never did it officially.
Mhm.
So we need it included in our licensing for purposes. So what we'd like to do is just take the bush lot part and designate it to the cemetery at this time. That should
I
give us
thought we had
a
done that.
the resolution was never done.
Okay.
So we just would like to do that. So then I can include it in all of our licensing requirements. So this one will be.
So that's for future expansion.
Yes. We
What
have-
would you say our percentage is now?
We have
40% full, 30%?
That's the new part?
the old section's full.
Oh,
Yes.
There are a few that were pre-purchased.
Yeah.
But the new section, we still have quite a few.
Yeah, there's quite a bit.
But since I've been here, it's filled half of the one
Yeah.
side.
I walk through there occasionally in the summer and it is filling up there.
Yeah.
So at what point would we be clearing the other lot?
Well, I was just talking to Chris today. Like, that's something I'll use for a filler when the guys with the new machine with the brushing head.
Okay.
I mean, we'll just start clearing it and then,
So,
and get the grass coming along and make it look nice.
Yeah.
And then it's defined for the cemetery is defined then.
Perfect.
But yeah, I mean, there's not gonna be a huge rush at it,
No,
but
no.
when we do have a day or so here, we'll start chipping away at it.
That gives us several years to work at the funding for the fencing for the rest, for the new
Yes.
section and the signage and getting it surveyed and things like that. So we don't have to do it all at once.
Yes, makes sense.
And when we do to go and do fencing, I think we should take a look at fencing across the front on 654. Because I see the snowmobiles are jumping and they're right up by the headstones.
They are.
I just noticed that.
Very disrespectful.
Yeah, so I mean, if we ever do fencing, I think we should go right across the whole front to protect.
It's always,
Yeah.
anywhere I work, it's always been a lot of money.
No, even the
Like-
cemetery, the one in North Bay that I frequent often is filled with skidoo tracks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know chain link fence doesn't last, like, not per cemetery, people don't like to see that, they'd rather see something more decorative,
Aesthetically pleasing.
aesthetically
Yes, yes,
pleasing.
exactly.
So the front, you may need that, maybe down the sides. We could go
Well, the
with
sides have bush, right? So we're protected on all sides basically right now. It's just across the front that we're not. And if we can just, put the fence line just on the top side of the ditch line, then that keeps them from
Mhm.
coming close to headstones and stuff. I just noticed it this year. It's been a couple of times that
The scenic trail itself is fairly close to the end of the cemetery, is it not?
No, not
That's
anymore.
closed.
That's
Is that
closed now,
closed?
I
yeah.
heard that section closed.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it
Oh,
should,
really?
they're crossing on the far side of the bridge now, on the other side of the road from the cemetery.
Oh.
That's how they get to the gas station.
I
So they're, and then coming back up, I think that's when they're jumping in the ditch to get up on Chapman's Landing and stuff, those trails. So, just something we'll think about down the road.
Sure.
So moving into the strategic planning of the cemetery, we're hoping to have a 10-year plan put together for all of our departments moving forward. So the cemeteries will be the same. We do have a couple of ideas. We were reviewing the space that we have left in the Commanda Cemetery. Now we have a lot of space there. However, the historic burials were not in any order. So it's left gaps. And so we want to use all of the space in the cemetery that we can. So we've identified one space and we'll bring forward a map at our next meeting. We'll have to have another meeting.
Okay.
But that we would like to designate as a cremation section. Just for those that don't wish to buy a full lot.
Right.
That way it gives them a more economical option. And it's right in the middle of the old section. So a lot of people who want to be close to the community. It's a very close community down there.
Mhm.
So we thought that might be the best place to start. And we've identified a few other gaps in the cemetery where moving forward, we could build other cremation sections, but this would give us about 32 lots to begin with.
Excellent.
Cremation's it's not very invasive, right? We go in hand show, we're not bringing a piece of equipment and trying to get around headstones. So it's a good way to utilize the space.
Absolutely.
And it's a lower cost for
Yes.
people.
Yeah.
And it's just an option.
Mhm. That's a great idea.
Okay.
Would we ever consider having that option in our cemetery?
We have
We got a
We do have
cremation.
it, oh, we do, whereabouts is it?
at the back of the old section, in the
Yes.
left-hand corner is a cremation.
Right by the ditch line.
Okay, and do we have many of those spots left?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, okay.
We are working on, actually Kristen's been working on an inventory, if you will. Right now, well, at last count, Amanda had 607 survey lots left. So they have lots of space down there and we've been working on getting some different strategic plans from different cemeteries. And at some point, this is way down the road, but we could also look at a columbarium, especially for the Alsace
The
Cemetery, if
Alsace
that's what they wanted to do,
Yes.
because they've now on very limited space. We no longer do pre-needs down there and we have to check the space when there's that. So that one's getting quite full, but we have options there too. So I like to include all of those in a strategic plan moving forward.
Perfect. Yes.
Yeah, that's all.
Okay.
We can
This
discuss.
is all my notes for now. So I do have resolution C 2022-05, moved by Councillor Scott, seconded by Councillor Moore, that we designate 42R for 12064, Part 1, as part of the Nipissing Union Cemetery lands. All in favor? Okay. So I will bring forward a draft strategic plan for input, and we will be posting all of these, of course, for public input. And that's all that we have for today. If there's nothing else.
That's everything for me.
I have in the past which with pine plots,
Right.
and which way to go. I used to do that the odd time at Calvin, when I was there, they didn't. But I can do it.
We have a public works employee who's taking quite an interest in our cemeteries too, that is willing
But
to do
no,
that.
I can take the two lots,
You
you
can
down
know
and they
where.
all come close and tell you
Yeah,
where,
Yeah, no,
where they
it's
are.
pretty neat, yeah.
We're struggling. It's a good option.
They're,
Yeah, like when you get to like maybe Commando where it's, you see the headstone, and they're really, you don't know what side they're on.
Right. Because it does happen.
Right. When you're witching, what does it pick up, the markers or?
No, when you walk across,
Yes.
the rods will open and then. they'll
It'll show you
close.
which way the casket is running.
Oh, really?
It's much bigger there.
He's coming to my yard.
I don't know if I can find cats and dogs.
Maybe Liz got more buried.
I don't think it's me. I'm talking about people before me.
Yeah.
And I did I did the ones at, on Osprey. They had a guy come in and do it, and then when I was doing it over there, they said, well, you go try it, and we both come to the same conclusion where,
where things were.
yeah.
That's good to know.
It
Yeah,
is.
it is good to know.
All right, so we're all set?
Yeah.
Okay. Resolution C, 2022-06, moved by Councillor Moore, seconded by Councillor Scott, that we adjourn the cemetery committee meeting at 10:25 a.m. All in favor?